Hello and welcome to the Light and Energy Show with me, Claire Wiles. We're here in Totnes today at the historic Leach Well, and we've come here to ask the public and local retailers what their understanding of the new EU directive affecting our choice of herbal remedies and nutritional supplements means to them. We're hoping to find out that people know a lot, but if not, we'll educate them as to how this might affect them and hopefully get them to write to their MEPs and see what we can do to make this legislation change in our benefit. So come with me and we'll see what we can find out. Okay, so we're here with Jenny. Hi Jenny. Jenny's at the Green Life shop here in Totnes. Jenny, you're a herbalist, I believe.
Yes, I am.
And you do consultations here at the centre?
Yep, here at the centre and as an individual as well.
Okay. So how do you feel that customers within this shop understand about the new EU directive?
Well, we've tried our best to educate people, but unfortunately it's such a complicated issue. It's really difficult for the layperson to get their head around. Even me within the industry has taken a lot of effort and research to get to understand it. So there's general awareness, but we could always do more.
And you mentioned to me earlier you've been actually giving people the information to write to their MEPs. How have people responded to that?
Well, we try and encourage anyone that's buying either herbal or nutritional supplements, because both are at risk, to write to their MEPs, their MPs, even the local paper. Anything they can do that just raises a bit of awareness and says we're not happy about it.
And as a herbalist, how is it going to affect what you can prescribe for people?
Well, fortunately, just about a month ago, herbalists have now become protected and will be registered as part of a government scheme, which is fantastic. So I personally will still be able to provide certain herbs, even if they come out of the shop. But people are expected to have a consultation, and that takes more time. And basically things that should be able to buy over the counter, as soon as you can buy paracetamol, alcohol, cigarettes, should still be available as they have been for hundreds of years. But they're now going to have to come through me, which is an added complication.
Yes. And an added cost for people as well, isn't it?
Exactly.
That they've got to have a prescription rather than being able to maybe just choose for themselves. And what herbs predominantly do you think you're not going to be able to use straight away? I mean, I know things like milk thistle within supplements, it's very difficult to get hold of already.
Yeah, well, within the shop there's going to be a lot more restrictions. Luckily, because I am a qualified practitioner, we're going to work hard with the shop to try and make our customers still have choice. But as I say, they won't be able to just come in and pick it up and speak to one of our lovely supplements advisors. They're probably going to have to speak to me directly, but we'll try our best to keep people's choices as open and free as possible.
And will you have to make the tinctures up for people, or will they be able to buy a ready-made complex of various herbs from you?
It's very unlikely. Tinctures are the area that's getting worst hit. Basically, most of the tincture manufacturers are very small British companies who cannot afford the licenses. Some herbs will still be available in tablet form because there's large, usually European pharmaceutical funded companies that can still afford £20,000 per product license. So tinctures is really where we're going to struggle, unfortunately.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jenny. And if you're happy to, we'd like to ask a few of the customers in the shop their views on this directive.
Certainly, they've got strong opinions as the staff.
Lovely, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Good morning, Verity.
Good morning, Claire.
Obviously, you use health food shops a lot as part of your normal shopping. What's your understanding of the new directive? Have you been made aware of what's happening?
I have. This shop has done quite a bit to inform people, but in truth, it's quite difficult to grasp all the implications. And I do find myself wondering what will happen to the particular items I buy. And that's the worry, because we become reliant on certain supplements in terms of a fairly restricted diet, vegan plus health issues.
Yeah.
And that worries me that we won't in truth be able to buy the things we're normally used to buying. I think the information could be better. I think Europe has been quite heavy-handed, and I'm quite disappointed with the outcome if it goes through. So that's where I stand.
And are you feeling the need to actually stock up on certain supplements in case that they're withdrawn from sale?
Yeah, the difficulty is not knowing exactly what the position will be. We tend, because we only come every 3 weeks, we live a fair distance away, to buy a reasonable quantity anyway, so that we don't run out. But in terms of knowing what to stock up on, that's the difficulty.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
There isn't enough information out there for the consumer. It seems to me that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, and we're all very much left in the dark, and we're having to second guess what's going to happen.
Yes.
Thank you very much indeed.
Great pleasure.
Verity. Thank you.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So Frank, I can see you've got several supplements here in your trolley. What sort of things are you used to buying from the health food shop?
We buy a fair range. We buy vitamin C, garlic tablets. I think there's two different sets of multivitamins, saw palmetto, iron tablets, turmeric. There must be one or two other things. I buy hyaluronic acid from the store as well. We run out of different things at different times, but that's a sort of an assortment of what we've picked up today.
So you use a lot of nutritional supplements in order to support your own health?
Well, yes, we do, for various reasons. I mean, my wife is a great reader of magazines and that sort of thing, and she recommends some of them, and we also use a medical herbalist as well, and I've got one or two little problems at the moment, so she's given me a routine of extra vitamins to have in the meantime.
So I see you spoke about vitamin C. I think this is your vitamin C here, which is
Yes.
1,000 milligrams.
Yeah.
So within the new EU directive, the maximum that's going to be allowed in any supplement is going to be 25 milligrams.
Yeah. Well, I'm on recommended to 2 grams a day.
Right.
So that's going to be bad news for me.
It's going to be very expensive for
yes,
you, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I have been aware for some time that vitamins and so on are going to be subject to some new European regulations, which we've been concerned about. And I mean, we've lobbied our MPs and this sort of thing, but it doesn't seem to have sunk in yet at any rate. So no, I think we're in for a slightly more expensive time.
I'm really glad to hear that you've already done that with your MP and your MEP, because it will only be the voice of everybody campaigning that will make the change.
That's
so
right.
I'm really pleased to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Okay, so Toby, you're owner here at this Neil's Yard
Yes.
store in Totnes. How do you feel this new EU directive will affect you?
Well, it's something we've been planning for the last 7 years or so, since we knew it was going to be come into force. It's got its ups and it's got its downs. Obviously, negatively, you know, the licenses for each individual product do cost a lot of money, and we've had to actually pool our resources with other makers on certain products so we can continue to do that. Obviously, there's smaller producers which obviously can't produce those licenses or can't afford those licenses. So, you know, they're obviously going to cease trading. The positive thing, I think, that in a year's time you've got the statutory regulation of herbal practitioners coming in, and I think arguably we need licensed products, and on one hand, you know, they're verifying these products, they are medicines and some of them are very strong, you know, so and they're powerful and they have to be in the right hands. And I think if we're looking in the future, what I'd like to see with the statutory regulation of herbalists is that actually we can walk into a hospital or obviously a GP practice and say, actually, I want to see the herbalist. And in this day and age in healthcare in the 21st century, that's got to be the case. You know, that is the way forward, in my opinion, obviously a lot of people's opinion. So I think if we're going to work towards that, then hopefully, you know, that will help that. What we don't want to see, I think we have to be aware that obviously there's some herbs that we're unable to stock because, you know, the licenses are too much. We're selling them in different forms, but obviously we don't want a drip-fed system where suddenly more and more herbs get banned, and obviously it's just the start of actually trying to eliminate herbal medicine. That's what we need to be aware of. But hopefully, you know, it's good for some, it's good on other parts, and hopefully, you know, it's going to be good going forward. So I don't think it's all necessarily doom and gloom.
No, just honesty and clarity from the start from the EU.
I think so, and obviously us in you know, the natural health profession, we just need to be on our toes, and we need to stay abreast of any changes that might happen, and obviously lobby on behalf of ourselves as well.
Great. Thanks, Toby.
Pleasure.
That's great. Thank you.
Pleasure.
So, Michelle, do you use nutritional supplements and herbs for yourself and your family?
I do indeed, yes. I tend to buy them in the dried format and make preparations at home myself because it works out a lot cheaper.
Yes.
But I'm a great believer in herb law and upholding the ancient traditions. And I believe the EU are trying to ban the sale of herbs from May, is it?
That's right, yes.
It's
yes,
ridiculous.
The end of April.
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand their philosophies behind it. I think herb law is an ancient tradition that the modern politicians don't really understand a lot about, and they should start doing their research, because we've used it for thousands of years successfully. The remedies that they sell over there in Green Life have really helped my mum to beat cancer. She was diagnosed in 2003 with small cell stage 5 lung cancer and was given 9 months to live. And I researched on the internet and found out that a nurse in Canada in the 1920s called Nurse Case had been given a herbal preparation by the Navajo Indians called Essiac. So I actually bought a preparation from them, and with a combination of oxygen therapy, a change of diet and various other herbal preparations, she has defied medical logic and she's now on remission. So I believe that these preparations work, and I've joined a petition on Facebook to try and talk some sense into the EU and show them that, you know, the common people like myself, we still use herbal preparations on a daily basis. You know, facial preparations. I clean my whole house with herbal preparations. I don't use anything like bleach. I can't understand why anybody would. We use tea tree, we use rosemary to clean our toilet. As well as being cost effective and really cheap if you make it up from scratch, it's saving the environment from being polluted, and that can only be a good thing, really. So,
and we should have the choice to take control of our own health, buy what we want to buy, and make those decisions for ourselves. And our families, of course.
They try and take away our freedom to choose, though, and they can't do it this time. They tried to sell off the trees recently. Do you like that?
What are you holding?
And thanks to a petition on Facebook and various other petitions, you know, the people power.
Absolutely.
We have a voice, and I think the times are changing, and people aren't afraid to actually petition anymore. It doesn't have to be violent in any way.
No.
But you do have to stand up for what you believe in sometimes.
Absolutely, I quite agree. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Michelle and
thank you.
Corvin.
And say bye-bye.
Bye.
Herbal medicine is the oldest form of healthcare, predating recorded history. Nicholas Culpeper, herbalist, physician and astrologer in 1646, produced The English Physician, written for the layperson so they could treat their own ailments without the expense of the doctor, whom they couldn't afford. Monasteries had herb gardens such as this one at Buckfast Abbey in Devon, and the monks would use herbs not only for culinary but for medicinal purposes. How ironic that the EU is looking to take away the very origins of healthcare in this country by preventing our freedom to choose how we treat ourselves.
We're back in the studio now to look at a letter sent to us as a response from our local MEP, Giles Chichester, here in the southwest of England. In the letter, Mr Chichester states that the EU's aim with the directive is to harmonise the member state legislation throughout the EU and to direct the maximum and minimum potency of herbal medicines. He also states that the EU's aim is to guarantee a high level of health protection for EU citizens. We were pleased to hear many of his constituents had written to him on this issue. Most were worried about the potential banning of their preferred herbal treatments and medicines. The letter said that the EU have a fast-track system for herbal medicines with a so-called long tradition of safe use, which will allow them not to undergo lengthy clinical trials and testing. He does concede that only 40 to 50 substances are on this fast-track list. Our reading of the legislation is that it is not the herb being registered, it is the individual product that contains the herb. From the lists we've already received, such as this one from Solgar, of discontinued products from the 30th of April 2011, in our opinion, it contains products that could be deemed to have a long and safe use. The letter goes on to state that the UK has established a register for herbalists, which many will believe will protect their ability to prescribe. We feel this remains to be seen. In his letter, Mr Chichester also mentions on the subject of supplements that there is a concern that the EU will adopt very restrictive legislation on levels of potency, and that reasonable levels should be set that allow medicines to work effectively and for people to still get the benefits from their chosen product. Mr Chichester, as one MEP, has concerns that if the legislation is not enforced properly, it could risk the availability of some natural medicines. He seems to be in favour of a happy medium being reached. We do have concerns that this is all a bit too late and that there is a more long-term agenda. We'd be keen to hear from any Light and Energy Channel viewers as to the opinions of their local MEPs to this legislation and the long-term consequences to herbal medicines and natural supplements. So, do your own research, write to your MEP, visit sites like the Alliance for Natural Health and form your own opinions, and as always, we welcome your comments. Giles Chichester's letter can be found on the show notes with other useful links at www.thelightsandenergychannel.tv. So, in Light and Energy from me, Claire Wiles, goodbye.